Hey there, Quantum Health Boss. Welcome to another Boss Health Matters show here. See if I can get the proper graphics to go up here. I don't know how well it's going to work tonight, but we'll roll with the punches. But yeah, Quantum Health Boss, we're here. We're celebrating Men's Health Awareness Month. But we don't know where we're not here just to talk about symptoms, right? We're here to decode the signals. I'm your host, Gregory Hall, the Quantum Health Boss, better known, but tonight we got Connie Rose, right? Connie Rose is joining me. She's a woman who went and way down, waking up using NLP and frequencies work to create the life she wanted, not the one that she inherited. So I think, men, we really should listen to her to see where we can go with our mindset, right? Because I think mental health is something that we really do not talk about as men. And, my father killed himself from suicide. I think it's very important that we talk about these things. So let's bring Connie on here and let's get right into it. Hey, Connie, how are
Hey,
you?
I am fantastic. This is one of my favorite topics. Thank you for having me
Oh,
on.
cool. Thank you for being here. I remember meeting you in person, last September, and I really wanted to get you out on my show, and finally you're on. But I have a question to ask you,
Yeah.
seeing how this is your favorite topic. So, when a man feels stuck in his body, in his mind, or in his marriage, how can NLP and frequency help heal him or rewire the identity and in his own next chapter?
So I combine the art and the science of NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is the art and science of the unconscious mind, with frequency wellness. And so it's a magical combination. So we communicate in words and symbols, right? And so I work with clients and we talk about our language because everything starts with our word. And if we have stinking thinking, it translates into our language, which translates into our life. Our words create our world. So it starts with really being aware of what are we thinking. It's not always I tell people your brain can be your best friend, and it's not always our best friend. It starts really off as it's trying to just survive. It's just, it's not designed to thrive. It's actually designed to survive. And so once you can realize, our first thought is typically not our best thought, number one. And if we could say, what, because a lot of people will just say to try to shut that down, try to shut those negative voices down. And that actually doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is seeing it for what it is. Like, oh, those negative thoughts, those negative patterns are really just here to bless me. It's trying to keep me safe. So then it's like, okay, thank you for your concern. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Now, what do I have to say about it? Because I know that, what we say next is what makes the difference. And people don't realize our first thought is typically not our best thought. And we actually can create our next thought if we slow down a little bit, and then there's different tools that we
Wow.
use. Yeah, right.
So, like in September when I met you, you weighed a lot more than you do right now,
Yes.
and in one of your lives that you did on social media, you said that you've been dealing with some emotional things, right? So, not
Yes.
just carrying weight, but emotional baggage. But what happened between then and now that you basically said enough is enough and you got over the hump?
Well, again, it's all about awareness first, right? And there's always something beneath it. There's for every physical issue that's happening, there's always an emotional component to it. Always. And so it's like, with weight, it literally is like covering up, right? And so again, I use frequencies and the science of the unconscious mind for everything. So I use the same technology really to deal with stress and positive, having a positive mindset and a higher frequency as it's a journey. I'm still not where I want to be. And I'm further than I've been with releasing weight because to be able to identify so this might be new. I don't know if it's just women who do this, but there were times when I would eat and I wasn't physiologically hungry. So I would, eat my emotions. I would eat when I was happy. I would eat when I was sad and everywhere in between. Identifying that. And then, like I said, we have these tools, these wonderful tools that we have that combine frequency wellness to like go into balance. And then it's like, I would give myself 5 minutes. I would run the software that we are both using. And I would I would imprint some water with the frequencies that are for what I'm wanting to create. And in 5 minutes, it was like 95% of the time, all that emotional craving would go away. And then if I was still craving anything in the last 5% of the time, instead of eating like the whole chocolate bar, I would have a piece of the chocolate bar.
Wow.
So it's really just slowing down and paying attention to our thoughts. Because it all starts there.
I totally relate because, I, drive a truck and, I deliver concrete in my spare time, keep the lights on while I'm not helping people, save lives. But when you're driving around most of the time, doesn't matter if it's a truck or whatever, long drive, we always pack something to eat or there's a fast food place along the way. So, even though you might not be hungry because of the anxiety and the stress of dealing with the road, we end up, munching on something. But yeah, that's really cool. I think most men really should, take what you have to say into heart because, you know, I know a lot of truck drivers are overweight. I was over 350 pounds. I got to 200, still coming back down from 230s now. Some things happen in between. But most men are told to man up, right? And to stay silent. I don't know if it's a man thing or whatever, but from what I've seen is that what happens that men learn how to tune into this frequency instead of suppressing his emotions, I think would be more beneficial. Can you give us maybe some tips or what you may think that can throw us a lifeline?
Well, and again, I keep going back to the same thing because it's foundational. Because the science of how things work in the world, it all starts with our thoughts because our thoughts then give way to our emotions, and then our emotions give ways to the actions that we produce, right? Because we act out of emotion, we just do, and then our actions then create our results. So if you want to look at the results that you want, we get to backtrack, and so it's like, well, if I want this result of releasing weight or eating healthier on the road or whatever it could be, then it's like, well, what actions do I take that's correlate with that? And a lot of that's an easy step. People understand what that is. The trick is people think it has to be hard. Like it has to be hard to release weight. It has to be hard to get rid of stress. It has to be hard. And if you are proceeding with the emotions and thoughts that are in alignment with that, it's just a natural outcome. So it's like, what result do I want? What actions do I take? So it's like eat less, right? Like don't like make better choices. What emotions do I have to feel so that it's easy for me to eat healthy choices? So for me, like for myself only, and I don't know, if this is I don't think this is a woman or a man thing. I think this is a human thing. So it's like, I know when I feel confident and when I feel like self-love, then I don't want to put garbage into my body. I just don't. And so if I'm feeling like I'm precious and I matter and I make a difference, then those actions are just easy to take. But then really what you want to look at too, I would say, and then what are the thoughts that are going to lead to I matter, right? I make a difference. Then I naturally feel more confident. Then I naturally take the better choices. Then I naturally get those results. So it flows. Does that make sense? It just flows that way.
Oh, definitely.
And then we have these wonderful tools that help support that, because everything is a frequency. Everything is a frequency. And when you match the frequency of what you want, you can't help but get that.
I totally agree. And you've been talking about these tools that you have. You want to talk a little bit about these tools and maybe how you came into NLP, and what tools have you been using since September, help you release the weight, and yeah, just let us know what's going on.
Yeah. So 4.5 years ago, before the company launched, there's a software that we call the AO scan, and AO stands for Alpha and Omega, and it is frequency wellness software that basically at the root of what it does. So they've identified all these healthy divine frequencies, because we're born with this perfect blueprint of how it should be, and we're more than just physical. Like we've been talking today about our emotional, like we have an emotional body, we have a mental body, we even have a spiritual body. And they've identified what the perfect, I call them the divine frequencies, are for all parts of our physical body, all parts of our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body. And so this software will scan us and say, okay, this is Connie's biosphere. It's all of it, you know, and then it compares it to those divine frequencies of what we're made in the image of. And then it'll say, okay, she's not in alignment yet. So what frequencies does she need to bring her back into alignment? Because the software is pretty awesome. And we know God made the body the miracle. And so when we call it scanning and optimizing, it brings me back into alignment with that divine blueprint. That's number one. Then it also, part of the software is called Inner Voice, and it reads. So our thoughts and our emotions are actually imprinted on our voice. That's how when you call your buddy and say, hey, how's it going, dude? And he'll say whatever words he says, but you can hear in the tone of his voice what's actually going on. Like he might say he's good, but everything else says he's not good. It's because it's in our voice, right? And so the software, part of the software, it picks up on that imbalance, and then it creates music for us, custom for us, to bring us back into balance. So that's one of those tools I use when I know I'm off, whether it's trying to release more weight, whether it's trying to have less stress, whether it's trying to bring something into manifestation. Wherever I'm out of balance, I listen to this music, and then it brings me back in emotional balance. Then another part of our software is called Mind Sync. And I think this is one of the most brilliant things that has ever been known in the world of quantum healing. It is a biohack. So I've invested over $30,000 in my training for Neuro-Linguistic Programming to be a master coach and trainer. That was a lot of money and a lot of time. With the software that we have, it is like a biohack, because people say affirmations, and affirmations are a good thing. However, again, with the way the brain is designed, when we hear those, for example, if we're looking at a weight release affirmation, like I am naturally at my goal weight. Well, if our body doesn't reflect that yet, there's a little part of our brain that'll argue with you, because it's not in reality yet. And so I call it the itty bitty, rhymes with itty bitty committee, right? So there's this little committee that'll say, girl, you are not. Yeah, that's not true. And so that's kind of like a gatekeeper, again, to keep us safe. With the software, with this Mind Sync software, we get to say in our own words, and I have a special little, I call it my recipe for AI, that creates, based on our goals, using NLP principles, what the structure of how to have like the most powerful affirmations we can have. And I can get that prompt to you if you want, if you're interested in it. It's very powerful. And
oh, definitely.
It creates the affirmations.
Let's get her.
It's good.
Sorry, my phone.
I'm telling you, that is cash money. There, it is cash money. So I create the affirmations based on the goal, and then when we speak into the software, when it goes
Let's get ready.
when it edits it, you have to use headphones because what it does, this is where the biohack comes in. So you listen to your recording. In the left ear, it plays back at 28 hertz. In the right ear, it plays back at 20 hertz. So the brain is like, oh, what is this? So the brain naturally will go to the difference, which is 8 hertz. So it puts our brain into theta. And then it also, you could use that inner voice music that you just recorded. You could use it. And it also brings in some other frequencies that are supporting your emotional body. So there now you have brain heart coherence. And not only do you have brain heart coherence, it's bypassing that committee that's telling you that's not true. So it silences the committee and it goes straight to the unconscious mind to reprogram those limiting beliefs. So when you have brain heart coherence, reprogramming the unconscious mind, and then these other tools to balance your emotions, during times of stress, like how could you not get good results?
So, like a man, a man's supposed to be the head of the household, put food on the table, take care of the wife, take care of the kids, go to work, be a good model citizen, and
Provider.
keep it all together, right?
Yes.
But we all know it's hard, right? Especially with the economy, jobs, you name it. So this software using this mind sync and reprogramming the mind, and you said that it's like money in the pocket. Like how often would a man, I mean even a woman, but how often would a person use the software?
So my question is, how fast do you want results? If you want faster results, you'll do it more often. So for me, so the most powerful time, so my company is called Own Your Life, and I help people get what they say they want. And I use this software to do that with my NLP training. And the most powerful time of day to use this mind sync recordings is right before you go to bed and right when you wake up, because our brain naturally, during the sleep cycles, goes into theta, and theta is where we repair, restore, heal our body and access our unconscious mind. So programming those what we're creating for our future in right before you go to bed is the best time. And so I recommend at least, like, it's a 3-minute recording is what I do with my clients. It's just 3 minutes and you listen to it and you go to sleep. Simple. And and if you do that every day, I'm telling you, you're going to be amazed at the results you get.
Well, I have a little confession that, I used the Mind Sync once and I got $1,000 check in the mail that basically they said that I would never get. So
I believe it.
I know that I know that it works, right? So I think
Yes.
I got to be using it a little bit more often to get more of those checks coming into the mail.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Like, what else do you want?
My next question really is, like, if a man's life is like a radio station and he's been stuck on static, what is the first frequency that he should dial into tonight and cast a new signal over his health and purpose?
That is a great question. I would say it depends on what they want to create. If you want to create more love, then you want to have frequencies that are in alignment with that. If you want to create more money, then you want to have it's the law of resonance, really. They talk about the law of abundance. The law of resonance really is where the magic happens, because what you resonate with, you cannot help but attract. And so I would say get clear on, what do you want? I ask my clients all the time, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And it's amazing to me. People spend more time planning a vacation than planning their life and what they want to have in their life. And so,
That's true.
It is. So again, it all goes back to awareness. Like, what do you want? And then we have a plan for that.
No plug if you're looking for a vacation. I got a retreat coming up on the 27th. There's still some room. So, men, women, come. Let's rewire the brain over there. But Your website is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, ConnieRoseOfficial.com. Is that correct?
It is. That's all my contact information. So you can follow me on
Cool.
social media, and that's how to get a hold of me. Yeah.
So, the show is Boss Health Matters. I'm the quantum health boss. But my tagline really for the show and moving forward for my events is to take charge. So, what's one inspirational quote that you can do to help people realize that they are the boss and they need to take charge?
Well, I tell everybody you're born on like with a purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. And, there's only one of you, and it's time to go after it. People are waiting for you to step into your greatness. And, what are you waiting for? So I don't know if that's necessarily a quote, but it's definitely an idea that when you realize your own divinity, like the reason why you're even here to begin with, then everything else flows from that in the easy way.
Well, it's a quote now by Connie Rose.
There we
And
go.
thank you very much for coming out. And I'd love to have you back on the show again, and maybe one day in person.
Sounds good. And then I'll get you that recipe for the AI for how to create powerful affirmations that actually integrate and activate all the energy centers of the body. I'll put that in the chat for you.
All right, put that into the chat. And if anybody wants that, make sure you contact Connie at Connie
Yeah.
Rose Official. And she definitely has a free offer. You want to tell people about your free offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we work with the software, and I do a half-hour session, and to give you these recordings that will bring you back into emotional balance. And it's this technology that saved my life. When I first found this technology, I don't know, I think I probably maybe shared this with you. My 18-year-old son had a massive heart attack and went to heaven, like just instantly. And that was in March of 2020. And someone called me in August of 2020 and said, I know you're not doing well. And I wasn't. Like, I didn't want to be here. And I had made an agreement with my son that neither one of us would complete suicide. And so I knew that wasn't an option, because we had made this agreement with each other. And the reality is I did not want to be here. And my body started shutting down. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. And so when this software came into my world, my friend called and said, hey, I know you're into energy medicine, and I think you might like this. And so here's the deal. Like, they're looking for beta testers. And I'm like, yeah, please. And this is the software that took me really from a wheelchair to a walker to a cane. And I've been working out with a trainer for the last almost 4 years. This is the software that had me actually want to be here again when I didn't want to be here. I have both of my children are in heaven. And then in the last year and a half, both of my parents are now also in heaven. And so there's circumstances, like we have circumstances, and circumstances don't have to have us. When you have the right tools, and I think these are the right tools that make a difference. And I'm a living testimony of that. A lot of people without these tools don't fare so well. And it doesn't have to be that way. So, so I give this away it's called an inner voice session, because that's the starting of the technology that saved my life. And if I could give that to anybody, then that's part of why I'm here. Yeah.
Round of applause for you, Connie. And I'm going to let you go because the tears are starting to come down out of my eyes. That's a very powerful story. There's lots of powerful stories when it comes to the software and this movement. And I really have to call it the premier health technology because, I'm a fellow practitioner just like you. But yeah, I definitely want to get you back onto the show. And thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.